classic game room, then more classic game room.
There's no problem in the galaxy that can't be solved with copious amounts of gunfire and explosions. This is Starfield, a giant action role-playing game that's like a combination of 10 other games that you've played, all wrapped into one. Is it good? Well, let's check it out. Starfield. For starters, this game allows me to live out one of my greatest space fantasies, and I'm not talking about the one involving Colonel Deering from Buck Rogers. I'm talking about the one where I'm a member of the Galaxy Rangers. I'm like Shane Gooseman with more guns. I always wanted to shoot an anthropomorphic space parrot with my 6-shooter. I love being a Galaxy Ranger. Space Deputy Lord Carnage is here to save the day and maybe rob a couple liquor stores in the process. Starfield is exactly the kind of game I would have absolutely killed for back in the Galaxy Rangers days. Back when PC games came on 5.25-inch floppy disks. This is like one of those classic old-school space action adventure games, like Space Quest on steroids. Kind of. Maybe. If you look at it through a very distorted lens, but I like it. Because this is the kind of game that you can play your own way. It's really like 10 different games all mashed into one, like Fallout, combined with Mass Effect and like Wing Commander, and a bunch of those like mining tactical strategy games and some first-person shooters. A little bit of Red Faction, and of course, No Man's Sky.
This is not how I saw this going. For the moment, let's assume this is all. This is murder! You're on your own!
With maybe a dash of X-Wing thrown in there, it's like a whole lot of different stuff all at once. And though I find the storytelling and the RPG parts of the game to be a bit drawn out and somewhat time-consuming, that's really because I just want to get onto some planet and rid it of pirates in the most violent way possible. I find it amusing that I was told after posting some stuff early on about this game that I was supposed to hate it. I'm supposed to hate Starfield. Why? This seems pretty cool to me. Like, I'm just getting started. I think I'm only level 15 by now, but that's only because I haven't slaughtered enough aliens and space people yet. I'm working my way there. Okay, so if you don't know anything about this, it's like a combination spaceship action game, exploration game, and shooter. And admittedly, it doesn't do any one of those things better than the best games in those genres. It's not the best first-person shooter, it's not the best exploration game, it's not the best spaceship action game, but it does effectively combine all of them. With more than enough things to do, and ways to earn credits, and spaceships and weapons to buy, and things to slaughter from one end of the galaxy to the other to keep you occupied for pretty much ever. I guess, unsurprisingly, it has a bit of a Fallout feel, but it's really not the same game. if you want to explore space and like mine planets and develop these outposts and just discover this massive universe, you can do that. If you'd rather play through the storyline and join some faction or whatever, or discover the secret of this like artifact thing that reminds me of Total Recall, you can do that. If you want to play like a murderous space pirate, well, you could do that. Who would possibly do it? Who would play like a deranged space pirate? Certainly not me. I'm a Galaxy Ranger. I fight for truth and justice. You know, sometimes I just get carried away. Starfield isn't Grand Theft Auto in space. It's a game about contemplating the mysteries of the universe. It's a game about discovery, about building spaceships and exploring the galaxy and going on a 3-hour tour to discover brave new worlds in a galaxy far away from the things that are further away from the other stuff that's on the other side of the galaxy. It's a game about liberating every roll of toilet paper on some distant planet that you can't even pronounce, and then selling that toilet paper for drugs. And I guess causing unthinkable intergalactic interstellar mayhem, which is, you know what, this game is a lot like Grand Theft Auto in space. I'll probably see you back here again for another review. No guts, no glory. Wilson!
Do you like classic game room? Then more classic game room.
Yeah, I'm still playing Starfield. In fact, I'm digging it. Finally bought my first new spaceship, so before we add it to the fleet, let's all say goodbye to the old one. Before you're parked in storage for the rest of time, let's all wave goodbye to Frontier. It was nice knowing you, but I need a spaceship with more guns, is really what it comes down to. I'm not flying through space to make friends, I'm flying through space to make friends and then vaporize them. And for that I need a bigger ship with more guns and rockets on it, and something that looks more like a Star Destroyer. That's really what I want. I just want a Star Destroyer. So until then, let's go with the Shield Breaker. Yeah, it took me a while to earn those credits. It's hard to make credits at the beginning of this game. You have to basically steal 1,000 coffee pots and resell them. Or slaughter as many space pirates as you can and sell their helmets and their spacesuits and their guns and whatnot. Beyond the storyline, there's many ways that you can go out and earn money in Starfield. There's a lot of things to do. And you've got to spend a lot of time in Starfield, not just leveling up, but increasing your science skills and like your research or piloting skills or whatever. Shipbuilding skills. The game definitely encourages you to get involved and either explore, play through the campaign, make friends, or slaughter everything in the entire galaxy. But getting a new ship is a great thrill. It's got that new ship smell. Look how much room I have. It's like the Winnebago from Spaceballs, except not as good. Getting a new ship with greater range really opens the game up and gives you more options to explore, and I think that makes Starfield even more fun. Just look at that dashboard. It's like the controller from Steel Battalion with less buttons. Anyway, you know what the first thing that I did after I got my new Shield Breaker in was you know what I did? I flew into space, immediately picked a battle I couldn't win and got destroyed. Then I was in a bad mood and felt sad, so I took it out on a party cruise.
Hatches open! Come on board!
That's what you get for not inviting me. Jackass partygoers in space. I showed up thinking it was going to be like the space disco from Battlestar Galactica circa 1979, but it wasn't. It sucked, so I stole their booze and cigarettes and blew them up. Problem solved. Anyway, eventually I figured out how to pilot the new ship, and it's got auto turrets, and it really just slaughters pretty much anything, so long as it's not like 1,000 enemies all at once. And that's fun, so space pirates are really just sort of a nuisance now. And I can haul more stuff, which means I can steal more toilet paper and transport it from one end of the galaxy to the other. So now I can complete missions I couldn't complete before, and I can explore planets I couldn't find before, and I'm already looking forward to my next spaceship, which is going to be 2 El Caminos bolted onto an AMC Eagle. So it'll be like a TIE fighter with more wood grain. There's a lot of shipbuilding options. I've just scratched the surface. I just bought a new ship, but you can pretty much go in there and like custom design your own too. So I've been busy completing missions and leveling up and applying those skill points to like weapon research and spaceship mods and stuff and piloting and strength and firepower. And then I decided to explore and discover this incredible galaxy that we live in inside a video game. And I tried to start building research stations, or whatever they're called, on planets, and like mine and harvest the materials, and that's a little clumsy at first. That takes a little while to get into that. Took me a little while to figure out all the controls and like, oh, that's right, you can use the rock cutter and like mine the planet. I swear it took me like 30 hours to figure that out. It's like the first thing the game shows you, and then I forgot about it. And I discovered new creatures and found that killing creatures is a great way to get experience, especially the slow ones, because then they can't reach you to eat your face. So find a herd of big, slow-moving, dumb things, and just shoot them at a distance while laughing. And then harvest their organs and sell them for parts or whatever. Dumbass aliens, you suck! I'm gonna return to this planet with a more powerful laser and make a sandwich out of your face. And boots out of your butt. Butt boots. Alien space butt boots. This is something I need in real life and this game. Starfield. It's fun. Discovery. New spaceships. Science outposts. Make friends. Light them on fire. Steal every bottle of Chardonnay in the galaxy and sell them so that you can buy a new spaceship and crash it into things. Join the Galaxy Rangers and rid the universe of space pirates, or become a space pirate, or do both at the same time. That's what I've been doing. I eliminate pirates while also simultaneously eliminating innocent party cruises. But you know, nobody on that party cruise was innocent, let's be honest. They had it coming. Anyone who stocks their fridge with Chardonnay deserves to be vaporized in outer space. I might see you again. Maybe someday, somewhere in a new Star Destroyer with wood grain. In Starfield. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, the way that it was meant to be listened to, through a PC speaker. This is Thexder from 1987, from Game Arts, published by Sierra. Thexder is my favorite side-scroller of all time. It's not really a platformer, and overall platformers are not my favorite genre. I'm usually awful at them because I can never jump at the right time. But Thexder doesn't really rely on jumping, which you'll see shortly. He has a hidden secret, and that secret is that he watches the GoBots, or Transformers. He transforms from a robot into a jet, so he's really very similar to a Veritech fighter, or Jetfire, the original Jetfire. This is the PC version of Thexder, the version that I had when I was a kid, and I believe this is on the NES, or at least the Japanese NES, and that version was published by Squaresoft. Let's watch a wall of enemies fall on Thexder, one of my favorite parts of this game. Transform! Why is this series not still being released today? That was relatively easy. I took them out with my auto-fire. You do not aim your laser, Thexder aims it for you, which is both a plus and a minus in this game, because that energy bar is your life bar. If that runs out, you're doomed. Every time you shoot, you're using energy, and using your shield uses 10 points of energy, or 10%. Thexder excels on many levels. It's not just a side-scrolling action game, it's a strategy game. You have to choose your shots carefully. There's energy power-ups hidden all over the place, so becoming familiar with the boards is essential, and I've been meaning to play Thexder and review it since the show started. It just took me a while to finally sit down and get back into it, and I forgot how difficult this game is. It's not the most exciting game visually, although Thexder himself looks awesome. The backgrounds have little variation in them. But the gameplay challenge and replay value of Thexder is superb. This game is screaming to be remade. I think that a remake of Thexder that's similar to the Bionic Commando two-dimensional remake that Capcom released for Xbox Live and PlayStation would fit Thexder very well, because you don't want to make this a 3D game. Just update it visually, re-release it on the new game systems, and let the world experience Thexder again. Who owns the rights to this? Get on it! I found some hidden energy, and you can see that my maximum energy on the bottom right is going up. If I wasn't stupid and continuously being hit by enemies, I'd actually have more energy. But my gameplay is really sloppy in this review. When you play the game more, you get very familiar with the levels quickly and how to fly through them without getting slaughtered. You definitely don't want to let enemies land on you. That's the biggest no-no. Or stand on them. Thexder's feet are very sensitive. There's 15 levels in Thexder, and to maximize your gameplay, you really need to explore each level and find all of the hidden energy and all the energy power-ups, which I haven't done very well here. So I'm going to run out of energy, and let's watch what happens to poor, sensitive feet Thexder. Here's the box for Thexder, one of the greatest packages ever created. Just look how cool he is. This is the IBM Tandy and MS-DOS compatible 5¼ inch floppy disk version of Thexder. 2 discs. I'm going to try a different approach to level 2 here. Since Thexder is basically a DOS game, it's not compatible with my sound card, so the sound is literally just coming out of the internal PC speaker. I'm recording it with a microphone, and I can't output the video like I can with my other standard PC reviews, so I'm filming it with a camera. A lot of people ask me why I don't use fraps. It's because of drive space. My editing machines have enormous hard drives, so I must rely on them, and I export my video through component HD cables, just like an Xbox or a PS3 game. Unless it's an Atari 2600 review, in which case I export the video using Magic. Damn it! Back in the day I had all these tricks to get away from those guys. I'm playing with the keyboard, so I'm just really out of practice. My Thexder game is whack. If I didn't play 10 or 15 games a week, I would probably spend a good chunk of my time playing Thexder or Herzog Zwei, both of which have awesome transformable robots. There is some variety in the levels as you progress through the game, but for the most part it does look very similar, and I like the visual style. It just would be really cool if there was some background detail. Thexder can't hover, so shooting things with the airplane configuration is extremely challenging because it does not have the auto-targeting system. And there is no half airplane, half robot Battleoid mode. If you want that, you've got to go find a Robotech game. The original old-school Thexder that you see here can be easily found online these days for the best price of all. Just use your imagination. They really need to remake this game. And frankly, I don't even care if they update the visuals, just redo the sound. Note that it can't play music and sound effects at the same time. Thexder must have an 8-track. Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room. Are you looking for a happy-go-lucky, family-friendly, first-person shooter? Then you're not looking for this game. It's Painkiller Black Edition on PC. That's right, if you've ever wanted a giant rotating saw blade on the front of your arm, raise your hand. I'm raising mine right now. I definitely want one of these things installed someday. If for no other reason than it would be a great way to keep cool in the summertime. Oh man, I'm hot. If only I had a fan. Oh, I do, it's right. Oh God! Speaking of fans, I'm a huge fan of this game. Painkiller is an old-school style, hard-as-nails first-person shooter. A game that will put you in your place if you're not that good at these games. And I'm not usually very good at these games. There's no aim assistance here. I'm playing with mouse and keyboard, and the enemies are tough and all trying to kill me. If you prefer games like Doom and Quake to Call of Duty, you're going to love Painkiller. Few games have a musical soundtrack that complement the game like this one. Can you think of any music that would fit Painkiller better? It's incredible. The whole experience is great. I would say that Painkiller is easily one of the best first-person shooters I've played in the past decade. This was originally a 2004 release. You can now download this enhanced version from Steam. The action is great, but the enemies and the level design are what really put this over the top. There's just style and attitude coming at you from every direction here. This reminds me of an ultra hard, ultra intense version of Dark Watch, a game I reviewed on the PS2 a while ago. I'm not exactly sure what the plot is, but there's a bunch of creepy things on screen that'll kill you if you don't shoot them first, so do that. It's tough because not only do the enemies swarm you, and you'll face some challenging end bosses, but you're constantly low on ammo. And Painkiller will frequently trap you in corridors filled with enemies rushing at you. And they're all angry. Why are you so angry? You're in a great game! They should be happy. They should thank you for killing them. This is Painkiller, the Black Edition, which you can pick up on Steam. Comes with a whole lot of Painkiller. I'm still struggling to make my way through this game because, frankly, it's just way harder than I am any good at first-person shooters. But I've enjoyed every moment playing it, except for the few times I got frustrated because I got totally stuck. But eventually, with persistence, I shot my way through. Great weapons, too. If you like Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake, Unreal, you're gonna love this one. Painkiller, Black Edition, a huge classic game room shout out. And thank you to George from Alaska for sending this to the show. I'm not exactly sure where in Alaska you are, but I will assume that you control all of it because you have great taste in games. So thank you to George, and thank you to Painkiller for being so much fun. It's the Truman Show mixed with Grand Theft Auto without the ability to back over people with a forklift. It's The Sims 3. As I'm recording this, it's the 10th anniversary of messing with these little people's lives, causing them pain, anguish, and occasionally happiness. It's like SimCity with little human beings, or the video game version of the old school board game of life. Except without those cool little plastic cars. You can go way off the board in this game. You don't have to play the same game each time. The Sims 3 is a well-made, high-quality game, the kind of game that you would expect from the developers of this series. You start off by creating a character and then giving them a lifetime goal. I named my character Transar, and his lifetime goal is to have a successful career, lots of money, and a happy life. So I started off by trying to get him a girlfriend, while also succeeding at work and keeping a clean house. The problem with playing like that is that it starts to feel like real life.
Tibi, Masi, Fami Nubu.
As work was going well, Transar met a nice young lady at the gym named Bebe.
Zwator, Paiga.
I love their gibberish in this game. Anyway, Transar is a computer geek and she's into reading and gardening. So he spent many a date going to the library and taking her out to dinner, while also keeping up with the bills and household cleaning. He had a nice job in the science industry and spent some of the earnings on his home, buying things like a bookcase, hardwood floors, and a stereo. Time to invite Bebe over and throw a party. You can do these things in The Sims 3. Now this part's great. Note that the pizza and the girl show up at the exact same time. That never happens in real life. Transar has a nice evening, talks, dances. As the player, you choose what your character says, whether they're male or female. They can be kind or downright obnoxious. You'll frequently note on the bottom right of this screen your character's status. They get hungry, they get tired, they get upset. This game is about balance. It's about playing like you're playing real life. This time with fake people, having real life problems and crises. All of the real world problems that one has to deal with managing a house, job, and love life are in this game. That's the whole point of The Sims. But it doesn't have to be. The Sims 3 is incredibly rich and detailed. You don't have to clean the kitchen. You don't have to compromise and try to have a polite date or a socially acceptable party. You don't have to go to the gym and try to stay healthy and good looking. I want to play this game like Scarface. I took Transar out like the fake trash from the non-existent kitchen and created Dr. 8-Ball. When you create your Sims, not only do you create their appearance, but also their personality. Dr. 8-Ball is an evil, genius, hot-headed, kleptomaniac, mean-spirited son of a bitch out to destroy the world. His ultimate goal is to become the emperor of evil, and he likes hot dogs. I designed his house and installed a secret dungeon. Rather than starting a traditional career path, Dr. 8-Ball joins a criminal organization. He likes to pick random fights with other characters and barge into other people's homes and use their bathroom. He sleeps in the graveyard, flirts with ghosts, and kicks over trash cans. Dr. 8-Ball is awesome. You see, this is the fun part about The Sims because you can spend a lot of time playing this game, exploring the environment, meeting new people, and trying to destroy their lives. I like all the different things that you can do, like changing the radio stations on your stereo. There's some good music in the game, and you can even have your characters sit there and just play video games. I feel like living one responsible life is enough. I'll recommend The Sims 3 to anyone who wants a good challenge trying to make their characters happier by making other characters sad. Now that's fun. And even though my new character, Dr. 8-Ball, is pure evil, that doesn't mean that he needs to be lonely. Oh no, far from it. Dr. 8-Ball enjoys everything that this game has to offer. Enjoy watching some more gameplay in The Sims 3.
Sos Jabor.
Nashta?
Shumda.
Nashi Dwarnop. Miss Kabalak. Nashte
An
Kubafa.
Datensan.
Chigaga.
Fipsi Mua Skipa Tuni Barabrana.
Ni.
Hergleaves.
Peppy, Snorky, Yaskiki, Chusha, Maki Fulima, Mamu, Trickle Nork, Luza, TikTok.
Buckler. Coach. There's a Volleyage, Contazone, Folox, Longneck,
Oh, Yaji!
Lock, Florka,
Dakamorpa,
Krila,
Norbus, Debo, Deboimi,
Mashki.
Welcome to Classic Game Room, where I think it's important to respect history, and few games are as historically accurate as this one. It's Jamestown. This is how it all went down for real. You know, before I brought back the magic and wonderment of Classic Game Room in 2008, I spent years producing historical documentaries on subjects like the American Civil War, the World's Fair of 1893, and George Westinghouse. And I'll tell you, one of the most important things about making a historical film is accuracy. Don't believe the crap you learn in school. This is how the New World was actually settled. American history finally told correctly, just like my version of Westinghouse, where George kills Thomas Edison with a lightsaber. Are those the things from Plants vs. Zombies? Were those really there? Man, these guys did their research. Jamestown, a vertical scrolling spaceship shooter style game that takes place in the Old World. Or, at the time, the New World. From Final Form Games, available as a reasonably priced download from Steam, this is a game that fans of this genre must immediately pick up. Although I should warn you, at first it did not start at all on my PC. It wouldn't work. So after 2 emails to the developer and no response, thankfully Brandon from the CGR crew figured out how to fix it, since I'm technically incompetent. So indie developers, if you're going to sell a product, respond to your tech support emails. Regardless, the game is excellent with terrific level designs, fun enemies, and cool music. When you start the game, you've only got a few things to choose from, and you unlock new spaceships and new levels. There's some additional ships available as DLC, but I stuck with the 4 original ones and have enjoyed figuring out what works best where and why and how and when and, all that stuff. I like this ship that launches the giant, slow-moving death balloons at enemies. They're great for boss battles, but they've all got their own strengths and weaknesses. I'm playing this one with the Xbox 360 controller. As you can see, it's got solid visuals and great music. As you blow up enemies and collect coins, there's a little bar that fills up on the top left, which you can activate and start Vaunt mode, which gives you a shield temporarily and then increases your points. There's 5 difficulty settings, and you can even play with up to 3 of your friends for a giant 4-player co-op game of Jamestown. I can't believe I never learned about this stuff in school. I mean, what else was I lied to about? I've since learned that the first president of the United States was Alf, and we're all enslaved by the Canadians, who use their telepathic powers and cybernetically engineered moose to get us to do their bidding. They conveniently left that part out of Jamestown, the Canadian Cyber War of 1883. But no matter, you'll come away from this game smarter and probably frustrated after it kicks your ass. Jamestown packs a punch. But it's still tons of fun with loads of replay value. So a huge Classic Game Room shout out and thank you to my friend Lost One on Steam. Lost One. That's very dramatic. One wonders if you'll ever be found. Jamestown is not a terribly long game, but the variety of spaceships and numerous difficulty settings give you many ways to enjoy it. Also, level 5 is just menacing. There's an additional remixed storyline mode that you can unlock, which is quite entertaining, and some bonus challenges and stuff. Basically, they've done a nice job. It's cheap, it's got great sound and music, and it plays well. What more do you really want? And it's a kick-ass game in one of my favorite genres. The historically accurate vertical scrolling spaceship shooter, where Jamestown fits in nicely with games like Robo-Alest, where you're piloting a giant robot over feudal Japan. History told correctly and played properly. Jamestown. This is Everquest II on the PC, a giant MMO RPG. Massively multiplayer online role-playing game, and my character's name is Wind Squid. He's like a giant, friendly, happy Muppet with a sword and a drinking problem. His hobbies are taking long walks on the beach, swimming, and slaughtering anything with wings. And you know how I play any game like this. I'm hunting down the first tavern that I can find, sampling the local brews. While I'm still enjoying the fake beer, I'm going to jump off of something extremely high, just to see what happens. Nice, he landed Earth Defense Force 2017 style. Strong legs. The next thing I'll do is get my character slaughtered endless times. Because that's how Wind Squid rolls. If only he had a bike pump to inflate enemies and explode them. While my ego is bruised from losing some fights, I'm going to kick a number of smaller creatures just to get the experience points and know that I hurt something. I like the pathetic sounds that they make after you kill them. There's a fine selection of creatures to obliterate in this game. Think of it as wildlife enforcement. After I've cleared an area just for myself, I'm going to enjoy the beautiful wait, there's someone over here to my left. Alright, well I've cleared an area just to myself, I'm going to enjoy a beautiful sunrise. Okay, that was fun. Time to kill more lizards. You know, this is the kind of game that can look as good or as bad as the hardware that you're running it on. There's 1001 settings to optimize it for your computer, so I'm running this on a fairly decent laptop, nothing fancy. I have most of the heavy-duty texturing off, and I'm really just getting up to speed with the battle system in this game. With no flamethrowers, miniguns, or AT-ATs, this is a big change for me. Everything has wings. They're just so inviting to rip off. Apparently most of my weapons and armor are broken. Can you believe that? That never happened in Adventure for the Atari 2600. As games got better, apparently the equipment got worse. So I've got to pay money earned during missions to repair my gear. I also bought some new weapons, so I'm going to tear these bird people things into shreds. Now I'm reviewing this from the console gamer perspective because I primarily play video game consoles. As many of you watching this show do. You play Atari, Vectrex, Sega Genesis, you know the deal. Maybe you even have something newer. Is Everquest II the kind of game that can be enjoyed by those of us who primarily play console games? The short answer is yes, but the long answer is this is very different. Now, on one hand, you're not going to win this game in a weekend. Everquest II is meant to be played forever. Do you like my hand in the screen? It's like the helicopter blades in The Shining. When you buy Everquest II, it comes with a free trial subscription. That'll get you started, but in order to really play it, you have to pay a monthly subscription fee. And what you're buying is the gigantic Everquest II online community. I just tried one of the lagers, by the way. I had an ale earlier. They kind of taste the same.
But the Wawerans still took us by surprise. They launched us simultaneously. Yes.
So why do you need a subscription? Well, Everquest II is more about the community aspect and the adventure rather than just the combat. To get the most out of this game, you really want to play it with other people, but you don't have to. It's easy to meet people when you're walking around and join adventures together. And since you are playing online against people from all over the world, you're essentially on the internet, so you can take a break and watch a classic game room review. Even ogres need some classic game room in their diet. Lots of fiber. Let's follow Wind Squid as I explore the world in Everquest II. I'm going to head somewhere that it recommends for only battle-hardened, experienced players. I've turned up my fantasy experience knob to 11. Level 11. The guy getting off the boat's like level 83. So I don't think 11's very high in this game. I need to ask for directions. I'll try to make friends with this guy. Alright, well this part's great because I'm just going to get killed by things before I even see them. I just need to stay alive long enough to get back to the docks and get the hell out of here. I finally made it. Let's go somewhere easier, carjack a griffin and explore. That's my favorite part of Everquest II. The exploration, that is. If you're going to buy one game and spend a lot of time with it, and if you like exploring a huge fantasy environment, this is one to look at. These kinds of games are dangerous because they can suck your life away, but at the same time they do offer the rewarding experience of growing a character, outfitting them with armor, making new friends, and going on an adventure that's rather impractical in real life. I just got my ass kicked by a tree. Let's find something else. How about an infected deer? What's it infected with? Experience is really one of the key parts of this game, so I need to level my character up. I'm going to run away into, wow, this sucks. I gotta get back to the place I started. The griffins are fun, they're like taxis. I named mine Betrayu. There's some beautiful visuals in this game, and I'm pretty sure that I'm only showing you about 1% of EverQuest II. This game could just as well be called the Never-Ending Quest II, because if you get sucked into it and want to explore everything, it could take you forever. I'm back where I started, honing my skills as a warrior. I could sit here and shoot these things all day, or I could actually just go on some more missions, which is my next plan of action. While EverQuest II is not typically the kind of game that I would play, I like shorter arcade-style games. This is one that you may enjoy if you would like to get immersed in another world and play for a long time. EverQuest II. Welcome to Classic Game Room. Normally when I think of racing on the grid, I think of Light Cycles and Tron, but in this case, it's Grid 2, the sequel. No Light Cycles to be found, sadly. Do a barrel roll, I just did. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. It's another Codemasters racing game. They seem to be on a mission to become the dominant racing game force in the universe, and I wish them luck. They're very good at it. Making games for just about every driving style out there: F1, kart racing, dirt, and Grid 2, the sequel. The Wrath of Grid. Grid Strikes Back. Grids. It's a shame there's not light cycles in this game, because the racing in Tron would actually be more realistic. Grid is about as arcade-style racing as you can get without actually driving in an arcade on a Chase HQ game or something. But unlike Chase HQ, you collect a bunch of vehicles, paint them silly colors, and compete to become the world's biggest YouTube driving star. That's the plot of Grid. You're racing for fans, not money. And as someone who grew up in the Cold War era, I find that very strange. You should be racing for money, not fans. You can't spend fans unless you crush them up and turn them into Soylent Green. You could feed your family for a month on those fans. You're not shallow and materialistic racing for money. You're just racing for fame and glory. Bringing a new racing league, WSR, Wild Squid Racing, to the world. One crash at a time. I like this game a lot, but that's the stupidest plot I've ever seen. Fortunately, it's not a plot-driven game. It's a driving game. And a really fun one. Codemasters knows how to make racing games. I reviewed the original Grid and enjoyed it. This is pretty much more of the same. It's extreme arcade-style driving where anything goes. You can crash your opponents into walls, fly off a cliff, and rewind. It's more like Burnout Paradise than Gran Turismo. And obviously, it looks and sounds great. The developers have a keen eye for style and lighting. But one of the things racing enthusiasts will immediately notice is the lack of a cockpit view. You can go behind the car on the bumper or just slightly behind the hood, which is pretty much the same thing. The lack of a cockpit view doesn't really bother me because this game plays terribly with a racing wheel. It's much better with a controller because you need constant oversteer, something easier to achieve with thumbsticks.
Remember, a few points in the bank is better than none at all. Keep it clean.
There's drifting, two-gay, straight-up racing, checkpoint, time trial, lots of things to do. And generally good competition. Later in the game you'll have to be mindful of what car you're driving in what event. They all handle differently, some are better at cornering than others.
10 seconds left.
But where's the A-Team van when you need it? Because the A-Team didn't fight to be famous, they fought for justice. You're driving to be the next Kim Kardashian. You're racing to become a celebrity who's famous for the sake of being famous. It's a 21st century phenomenon, racing for fans treated as currency. Every time you do something well, there's this orgasmic moment where you get fans, but never a sense of responsibility or a glimpse that any of them might be humans who have given you a moment of their time. This dehumanizes fans, and you may as well be racing for money. This concept is what happens when reality TV and social media collide and turn into a marketable thing.
The next checkpoint.
They may say that your objective in Grid 2 is to win and bring the WSR to fruition, but in reality, your objective is just to have a great time. It's a silly game. It's a straightforward driving game. And it's very good when you look at it like that. Lots of tracks, the game looks great, and you drive all over the world, in the US, Europe, Japan, the Middle East. I'm playing it here on PC, but you can also get it for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. There's a single-player campaign, intergalactic global leaderboards, and of course, multiplayer. There's also lots of good-looking licensed vehicles to choose from. But no El Camino unless I haven't unlocked it yet. So I've got to give a big Classic Game Room shout out and thank you to the entire Classic Game Room audience for this review. Those of you who have stuck with the show have kept it running, and for that, I thank you all, and your pets. Because according to my statistical research, at least 65% of Classic Game Room fans are cats, who don't appreciate being treated like currency. That being said, I can't fault the designers for trying to come up with some kind of interesting hook to keep you racing, although next time I would prefer to drive for gold bricks and global domination, because then I can spend the gold bricks on spaceships to keep a population in check, who would not be fans because they would be pissed at me for showering them with laser beams. ClassicGameRoom.com. Bonjour, it's Classic Game Room. What happens when you mix Portal with a tower defense game? You get Defense Grid. Watch it now or there's no cake for you.
Welcome to the Aperture Science Center for Human Annihilation Studies.
You know I loves me some Defense Grid, right? Because it's a great game and it's even better on PC when you get a whole lot of Defense Grid stuff. New levels, new missions, new stories, crisp, clean gameplay, awesome visuals, and all for a very reasonable cost. Download it today from Steam, unless it's tomorrow, in which case you're screwed. Because the robots could invade tomorrow, and then you won't get to enjoy Defense Grid. How do you feel now, slackers?
My control has been severed. I can't fire it. That must mean...
What?
The aliens must have followed the shuttles and have breached the orbital platform. It's my fault. If I'd just been faster...
Anywho, if you shorten Defense Grid, it just comes down to Def G, and that's what this game is. It's def, hype, it's ill.
We are pleased to see that you have already picked up the basics of repelling an alien invasion.
And it only gets better with all this great stuff. Play with a mouse or keyboard, hook up your Xbox 360 controller for Windows. Portal and Defense Grid, that's like ham and eggs. Hall and Oates, me and Vectrex. Things that just go well together. I reviewed this game quite some time ago on OnLive and did a bunch of level walkthroughs. I played it a lot, and the PC version gives you even more and sharper visuals. Kind of a complaint people had with OnLive. If you like tower defense games, you know the kind of games where you put down towers and enemy creatures, robots, things just walk into them and get blown up, well, you're gonna love this. Defense Grid is one of the best games in this genre that I've played, and the fact that you get so much of it here makes it a must-buy, in my opinion, for fans of the genre. Here's an example of a nice challenging level where aliens enter the battlefield from two locations, and the cores even shift from one side of the playfield to the other halfway through the game. It's pretty tough, and it's easy to make a mistake, which I've done, so I lose this one. Your basic strategy is to make the aliens walk as far and as slowly as possible so you hit them with all of your weaponry. Defense Grid gives you a bunch of towers to choose from, guns, cannons, Tesla electrocution devices, temporal slowdown, meteor, and there's even one that just gives them the finger as they walk by. There actually isn't, but there should be. This is Containment. Let's go over to You Monster, where we get to meet a familiar friend. Love that voice.
Interesting. Perhaps this was to be expected. Subject finds new crutch to replace the one taken away.
She takes away some of my towers, forces me to come up with a new strategy. Thanks.
Here are some highly flammable inferno towers that you can use. Those temporal towers were just delaying the inevitable.
The inevitable is that I'm going to win, because unlike fighting games, shooting games, puzzle games, basically any other kind of game, I'm actually decent at tower defense. There's just something relaxing about this kind of game, managing your resources and placing towers at just the right locations to blow your enemies to bits. Let them do the work for you. You've probably figured out at this point in the review I like this game, and I do. I may lie to you about some things, like what year it is, but I'm being honest, Defense Grid is worth playing.
This simulation does not intend to point out every time a fusion power core is lost, but in this case, one just was.
If you have a computer and access to the internet and Steam, I recommend downloading this at once. The faster you play Defense Grid, the more quickly you'll be able to shove cake into your mouth. I hear it's delicious.
I think that's the last of them.
Oh, no, it's not. You know, there's a lot more levels and a never-ending supply of aliens waiting to be destroyed in Defense Grid. Play it now.
One of your fusion power cores has been removed from the fusion power core housing. We don't want to tell you your business, but you should probably get it back quickly. Congratulations on demonstrating your addiction to specific tower types. The first step in overcoming your addiction is to admit that you have a problem. Please take that step now.
Do you like classic game room, then more classic game room.
X-ray Golf Sierra.
Boeing X-ray Golf Sierra radar contact 3 miles east of Victor Oscar, Lima Charlie 1700 feet. Altimeter 30.09.
When you spent your formative years playing Top Gun on the NES and Afterburner 2 on the Sega Genesis, you can't possibly be expected to take this game seriously. Oh my god, the captain's turned to jelly! Who's flying the plane? I don't even have a body. But I do have a flight plan, not a good one, but I'm going to terrorize the passengers here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. What a boring title. Flight Simulator. I mean, it's fairly accurate, but do you know what would be a lot more fun? Tokyo Extreme Racer F-18 Edition. Take that, rolling guy, your gang sucks. Putting a bigger muffler and neon lights on your Impreza won't help you win this race. Dumbass. Although, as expected, the first thing I tried to do when playing Flight Simulator was carpet bomb 376 outside of Pittsburgh, which quite frankly deserves it. Sadly, the planes aren't armed, though. I was kind of disappointed about that. Also, there's no cassette player in the cockpit. How can I relive any of the scenes from Iron Eagle without a cassette player? This is ridiculous. The sacrifices I make for you.
Boeing X-ray Golf Sierra. Travis approach Boeing Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra is type Boeing 5 miles southeast, 22 Charlie Alpha 700 feet. Request flight following. Squawk flight 135 Boeing X-ray Golf Sierra.
Boeing X-ray Golf Sierra radar contact 5 miles south from 22 Charlie Alpha 5,000 feet. Altimeter 30.01.
Roger, Boeing X-ray Golf Sierra.
This is the point when you transform into Guardian mode. Someone needs to put Veritech fighters into this game. Is it a game? It's more like an experience. I actually didn't expect to like it that much. My buddy raved about it for years, and I finally got a new PC, and it came with a month of Xbox Game Pass. And I'm like, alright, I'll finally try Flight Simulator. Hey, it's Liberty City! Anyway, I knew going into it, there were no weapons. So I'm thinking I'm gonna get bored pretty fast, because all I'm armed with is harsh language and 2 middle fingers, which I used to great effect. Especially flying over New Jersey. But what I didn't expect was to enjoy the non-destructive part of the game. Like the part where you fly and enjoy the experience and see the sights, exploring our beautiful planet. From above, without lasers and homing missiles. Sure, you can take Flight Simulator a lot more seriously and actually try to simulate flying like as realistically as possible. And I'm sure there's plenty of information out there about that. What I'm here to talk about is from the video game perspective, is it fun? And yes, it is fun to just fly around the entire planet. See what things look like from the air, and I discovered that it's actually really cool. I took a trip and visited some of my favorite places, like there's Cape Cod. Checked out New York, flew over London, crashed into a bridge, and left my plane in a back alley. Sorry about that. I'll clean it up later. I even landed a helicopter thing in the beer garden of the Hofbrauhaus. The designers need to visit in person to put some more detail into it. Don't forget the accordion. So what do they use? I guess satellite imagery? Something it's like super realistic. It looks really cool. Except check this out. I discovered an alien artifact at the tip of South America. The government's been hiding this from us for years. Look at that thing. Didn't I see that in a Transformers movie? It's trying to call Unicron. That would be a super cool addition to this game. Transformers in general. Careful now, don't crash into Jesus. Tried to reenact some scenes from Miami Vice here, eventually crashed into the ocean.
Los Angeles Center, Boeing Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra, is type Boeing 6 miles southeast of Lima 50, 4,100 feet. Request flight following.
You know what they say, it's all fun and games until your F-18 lands upside down in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. They build those things really well though, not even a scratch. Any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. There's a whole bunch of airplanes, and I don't know a damn thing about airplanes except that they transform into stuff in cartoons. If you get bored of the ones that come with the game, you can buy a bunch of other ones like the A-10 Thunderbolt, except I don't think it has the Gatling gun, so really what's the point? What I found most impressive was just exploring and like checking out locations I've heard about but never actually saw, certainly not from the air. And in that respect, it's just terrific. It really succeeds at that. It could use homing lasers. Even though some cities get more detail than others, the bridges in Pittsburgh do look weird in the game. They don't look that weird in person, unless you've had like 15 Iron Cities. But in that case, you shouldn't be flying an airplane anyway. Flight Simulator's really cool. There's lots of helicopters to choose from, a bunch of jets, commercial, airliners. I don't know anything about airplanes, but if you like airplanes, you probably already have this game. And if you like video games, or if you'd like to just explore the planet and check out different cities, fly from one country to another, it's really cool. And I'm impressed. Flight Simulator, despite the boring title, has a lot of things to do, even without homing lasers. And that says something.
124.5. Good day. 124.4 for generic 7 Papa Victor.
Pull up. 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 Pull up.
Welcome to Classic Game Room, where I've got a Star Wars game that doesn't really look or feel like a Star Wars game, but it kicks some serious Ewok ass. This is Star Wars Republic Commando for the PC.
Assume snipe position, Delta.
They don't stand a chance against me. Clear.
Watch this.
Yes, watch this. In fact, play this because it's Star Wars Republic Commando, one of the best Star Wars games that you can get. When I announced that I was doing a Star Wars week of Star Wars video games, the two most requested games from fans have been Battlefront and this one.
Cue that position.
Roger that.
Not surprising, considering how unbelievably amazing Republic Commando is in every way.
But they're impenetrable to our large assault forces.
You play as Delta's squad, not the one with Chuck Norris, but the one during the Clone Wars filled with clone troopers.
In our favor for the surface attack.
I guess that was actually Delta Force, but it's a really good movie that you should watch after playing this. Anyway, through most of this game, it's you and your three amigos wiping out pretty much everything that moves, all to the amazing sounds of Star Wars. The audio mix and ample use of Star Wars music is as good as the rest of the game, and it's a good game for many reasons. First of all, it's a great first-person shooter. Packed with a Star Destroyer's worth of action, and you know a Star Destroyer can hold a lot of action. There's lots of challenging enemies, and you'll frequently be glad that you have a team around you to help take some of them out for you. You can even dish out commands.
Flank the new target. Find cover.
Take it out from here.
Moving your mark.
We'll beat them.
And sometimes they even compliment you, which boosts your confidence.
Squad leader, solid shot.
I like that they've given your teammates personality, which is kind of odd considering they're clones. During most of my Star Wars game reviews, I usually joke around about how much I hate Jar Jar and then crush Jar Jar somehow, but it's actually hard to joke around in this review because you get the sense the designers took this game really seriously, and it shows. At no point did I get the feeling that someone was just trying to cash in on the Star Wars license with Republic Commando. This game is just badass. And now maybe I'll stop making fun of clone troopers for being a bunch of pussies.
Delta, just defuse our hold here, Deltas.
Scorch priming charge.
You'll play through a couple large missions during the single-player campaign, and most of the environments aren't terribly exciting to look at, but it's a good-looking game. With loads of personality, primarily driven by the voice dialogue and radio chatter.
I can't rush this, you know. Right here. I need you to show up.
Occasionally, if you treat them well, your squad mates are even so kind as to save your ass if you happen to get it shot off.
We've lost squad lead. Oh. Back up, books, Deltas. Need a hand, sir? I'm out.
No, I'll just lay here and bleed, thanks. You guys just carry on the fight without me. Anybody bring a Game Boy? With Star Wars on the Game Boy, perhaps?
The mechanicals.
This is also on Xbox. The version I'm playing is on PC, downloaded from Steam affordably. Republic Commando also has multiplayer, and like Battlefront, for whatever reason, it's a series with so much potential that seems to have lost its support. There should be a whole bunch of these. Like, how about a mission where you actually invade Naboo and slaughter all of the Gungans? I had to go there at some point. I had to.
Nice hit, boss.
You know, in addition to this being just a great first-person shooter, you never get the feeling that you're invincible. Or that you and your squad really outgun the enemies, because you don't. In fact, you're actually pretty weak compared to those super battle droids. These dumbass lizard things are no problem, but try fighting off waves of super battle droids and those destroyer droid things. It's a really hard game, and so much fun because of it. You even get a bowcaster. You get a friggin' bowcaster! Thought you had to be a Wookiee to pick up one of those things.
We got slavers, Delta. Moro, reloading.
And whenever you get a chance to pick up this minigun thing, it's just such a feeling of euphoria because it's payback time.
Moving to cover.
I got a live one. We need to get him out of there.
Slice into the Trendo security network.
Yeah, this could use more environments. It could use some sequels, really. Somebody get on that. I'm going to use the Force right now through the video to all of you. Don't fight it. There's a game developer watching this somewhere. This is the game that needs a sequel. Republic Commando 2. The Invasion of Naboo. It even rhymes. Come on. It's Star Wars Republic Commando. If you like a good action game and you like Star Wars, you have to play this. It's fantastic. Like drinking a glass of blue milk. Once you start, you can't stop. Or I know I'm really pushing it there, but it's Friday afternoon. Give me a break. It's the game that made the Kessel Run really fast. No analogy is going to make it better. Just play it. Star Wars Republic Commando. For PC and Xbox and Sega 32X.
Power integrity at 50%.
Can you hear me? I'm reading low vital signs from your squad.
Vanished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room. Prepare to enter a dream world of magic as we enjoy Dungeons and Dragons Shadow over Mystara. I think. It's kind of like the 90s X-Men game, except with more burning people with monsters and cutting them in half-itude. Or burning people with monsters and chomping them in half. That also works. This was originally a 1996 arcade game from Capcom being played here on the computer. It's a 4-player side-scrolling beat-em-up. We've played this game before because you can reskin it with anything. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the X-Men, The Simpsons. Those are all from Konami, but more or less the same. Ooh! That's my reaction video sound. Ooh! Should get 1 billion hits on this now. Anyway, as you can see, this is a fun, colorful arcade beat-em-up with a Dungeons and Dragons theme. Let me tell you about my history with Dungeons and Dragons, with D&D, when I was a kid. In like middle school somewhere, like 7th grade. I really wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons because it looked really cool, right? Except nobody would play with me. And I'm an only child, so like I had nobody to play with. So my mom got me a 1-player Dungeons and Dragons kit, which was terrible. So I just ended up drawing all the pictures out of it. I love the artwork. So from that standpoint, I enjoyed it, but I never actually got to play Dungeons & Dragons with anyone because I would approach my friends like, hey guys, you want to play Dungeons & Dragons? And they'd be like, no. Clearly that's where the line of nerditude was drawn between us, because Star Wars and Nintendo games were acceptable, but Dungeons & Dragons was right out. No way. And the guys that did play D&D were like too nerdy to play with me. So basically I was stuck in nerd purgatory in 7th grade. Not cool enough to be the cool kid, but too cool to be a complete nerd. It's a rough place to be. Thankfully there was Contra. So what I'm saying here is I don't know any of the characters in this game. In fact, my only real experience with D&D is the amazing cartoon show they had way back in the 80s. Which I think had very little to do with any of this, but it was a fun show. This is obviously the kind of game that's best enjoyed with a bunch of friends. You can play with up to 4 players. I'm playing it here on Steam, so get a bunch of friends together and hack and slash your way through whatever Dungeons & Dragons inspired land this is, that I know nothing about. I keep wanting to call it Shadow of Mordor, which has, nothing to do with this game, except I think Lord of the Rings probably had quite a bit of influence over Dungeons and Dragons. Basically, when you go into this one, I will suggest that you play the characters that have magic, because you need magic to do anything in D&D. Just hacking and slashing things with swords will get you killed quickly. Choose one of the, magical characters. And play with some of your buddies. My friend Phil in Austria suggested this one. And after quite a few technical complications on my end, of course, because any computer post-1981 is confusing to me. If it doesn't connect to a mainframe, what good is it? Although I guess these days pretty much everything... Never mind, that was a useless comment. If the mainframe doesn't have spinning tapes, what good is it? You see, magic is the way to go in this one, because, at least in my viewpoint, you don't play this kind of arcade game for points, you play it for fun with friends. It's all about just getting through the game, rather than doing well at the game, at least in my opinion. If I want to play for points, I'll go play Centipede or Missile Command or something. These games are wonderful quarter munchers, and just a good time, and I like this one. I can see why it's quite popular. I like the music here. As you can see, there's some D&D elements. You can choose a path through the game. Your characters level up, and of course there's a bunch of different character classes to choose from. So I think it's safe to say that if you enjoy games like Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, X-Men, any of those other games I mentioned, you're going to enjoy this one. Although I did find the magic system to be a bit complicated. In the heat of battle, you hold down one of the buttons on, I was playing with my Xbox 360 controller, brings up a little magic wheel, and you select your magic, but by the time I did that, usually something was eating me. And I like to play these games with swords instead of magic, because, I'm a tough guy, at least in my mind. And I found any of the actual fighting characters to be pretty much useless. Ooh! The elf wasn't bad. She strikes a nice balance between sword attacks and magic. Also, she rocks the cape well. And I imagine so does my friend Phil in Austria. Let's get you up there on the map. Thank you for sending Dungeons and Dragons to the show. This one is predictable good fun if you enjoy this kind of game, or Dungeons and Dragons. Not just dungeons, but Dungeons and Dragons. Check it out. D&D Shadow over Mystara. Have you ever wondered what life would be like if PopCap ruled the world? It would probably be very colorful, and we would all be playing Bejeweled and Zuma, fighting waves of zombies using plants as weapons, or at the very least playing Peggle, all under the watchful eye of the all-powerful PopCap logo.
Welcome back.
So basically it would be like martial law enforcing video games. Sounds good to me. As long as they're good games. Unfortunately, the ones from PopCap typically are. Don't ever let anybody tell you they're casual games. There's nothing casual about them when played properly. Just because they're colorful doesn't mean they're casual. So, jewel swapping fans rejoice, here comes Bejeweled 3. Good, the game said it first. On the surface, it may look similar to the excellent Bejeweled 2, which I've played quite a bit. And it is very similar to Bejeweled 2, except with many new features, the bulk of which may not be truly appreciated unless you've already spent quite a bit of time with previous Bejeweled games. But there's nothing to fear if you've never played Bejeweled, because Bejeweled 3 is a great place to start. Even with a few modifications, the basic old-school models of Bejeweled return, including the classic mode and lightning mode, which is what we're watching here. What I'm trying to do is match 3 jewels of the same color, horizontally or vertically. I have a minute to do so, and if I make bigger combinations, I can get some time bonuses to keep myself alive. Go Bejeweled 3, go! What we're watching here is the PC version of this game, which can be downloaded from PopCap's website, where you get 8 different modes of Bejeweled gameplay, 4 of which need to be unlocked. And at this time, I'm not sure if there's other versions, but typically PopCap releases their games for just about everything. Everything from Xbox Live to the iPad. But not the Vectrex yet, guys. Come on, there's a whole market waiting to be exploited on the Vectrex. It's just, you need an overlay to make it colorful. Now, I thought I had the hints turned off, but apparently not. Maybe the game is taking pity on me, because I'm not that good at Bejeweled. I'm much better at Peggle. I love Peggle. Please make more Peggle. But back to Bejeweled. And the unforgiving, brutal Ice Storm mode, where the game will literally freeze you if you don't break the ice beneath it. And this is an excellent example of many of the subtle modifications that you'll see to the tried and true Bejeweled formula. Ways to extend jewel swapping into the next millennium without getting old. How do they do it? I don't know, but they've definitely succeeded in adding some new clever modes of gameplay into Bejeweled 3. Although most confusing to me is the Zen mode. I just don't get it. In the Zen mode, you can play with relaxing music or ocean waves and seagulls in the background, and then turn on these binaural beat things, which I think are all part of PopCap's plan for total global domination. O mighty PopCap, I am not worthy. What shall I do to please thy great unblinking eye and PopCap logo?
You shall buy more Peggle.
Okay, but until then, how about we play the butterfly mode? Capture the cute butterflies before they get eaten by the spider. But wait, there's more. In the quest mode, there's even more modifications to the Bejeweled formula. This is alchemy, which is just one of many. The Bejeweled 3 title to this game is so misleading. 3 sounds so low, it should be more like Bejeweled 5000. Even though there's not 5,000 modes of gameplay, there's certainly more than 3. Ah, it's the wormhole to the next level of Bejeweled. Fans of the series rejoice. It's Bejeweled 3, more Bejeweled. They don't reinvent the wheel, but there's no reason to. They've just added a whole lot of new, smaller wheels. It's a stupid analogy, but you get the point. Bejeweled 3. And don't forget to watch my reviews of other PopCap games and the Peggle coffee mug and Bejeweled 3 mouse pad.
My brave captain, why don't we go upstairs so that you could board me?
Oh, come on. Who shoots an innocent pirate in the back just for attacking random people on the street? Never visiting this island again. Age of Pirates II. City of abandoned ships. The life of the pirate is the life for me, as long as I can avoid all of the negative parts of that life, like scurvy, drowning, being blown up by enemy cannon fire, and that's why saving and loading is essential to actually living like a pirate. And that's why video games are so much fun, and why real life is far more challenging and actually dangerous. How cool would it be if in real life you made a wrong decision and realized it and hit F2 as fast as you could just to load that previous game? Except it wouldn't be a game, it would be real life. Anyway, you'll be glad this game has a saving and loading feature because it takes a long time to play. And unless you have months to spend in front of your computer, you'll want to save and, like, go eat or something. Or else you'll get scurvy and die. In Age of Pirates 2, you'll spend most of your time sailing around, visiting exotic locations, meeting interesting people, and frequenting their taverns and brothels, and taking jobs to earn money. This is not a game for those of you who don't want to put a lot of time into a game. This is on the PC, and as you can see, I finally got a real video card. The highlight of this game is the sailing. I find that a lot of fun. I'd have loved this game when I was a kid. It's not the type that I play these days because I typically don't have nearly enough time to pour into a game like this. This is like an adventure RPG where there's a number of missions and quests that you can accept and level up your character, earn money, buy crew members to join your ship, buy new ships and guns and that kind of stuff. If you're into boats and naval battles and stuff, you'll probably want to check this game out. If you're looking for something really fast and intense, this is not the game for you. It's not a pick up and play kind of game either. You'll want to sink some time into this game, just like I sink ships with my incompetent crew members. And by sinking ships, I mean my own ship, which is currently on fire. It's not the captain's fault, it's everyone else's. And you learn very quickly that being a sailor back in the day would have been extremely boring. It takes 20 or 30 days to get anywhere. Now fortunately in this game, you can pull the camera back into that map mode, which speeds up time dramatically. Well, you can see why sailors drank gin and tonics, not just to fight scurvy and malaria, but also to fight boredom. Oh, here's one of the great features of the game. In order to raise crew morale, you can buy them a night at the brothel, all of them. Which my captain doesn't do because he's spending their wages and the ship maintenance bill on himself.
My sweet embrace will make you forget the bitterness and sorrows of the ocean.
F2 load and restore funds. Back to the sea. Actually, it's the escape key in this game, but nobody ever said my captain was that bright. In fact, by all accounts, he's not. This is kind of a quirky game. There's just something about it with the writing. It's clearly humorous and meant to be a bit tongue-in-cheek. You can run around the cities, and there's parts where you can run around the jungles. I didn't think all that stuff was too terribly exciting. I really liked the sea adventure and action on the high seas. The running around adventure stuff was kind of mediocre, and the swordplay is terrible. I did not like that. I know I need to level my character up, but it's just kind of awkward trying to sword fight with the mouse. The naval combat stuff, on the other hand, that was quite fun. Assuming you don't blow all of your money at the brothel, you can buy different boats and different guns. I'm controlling the boat using the keyboard and rotating the camera around using the mouse. You can see the direction of the wind and the time that it's taking my sailors to reload the cannons on the top right. There's different kinds of cannonballs that you can equip. The naval adventure, combat, and exploration part of Age of Pirates 2 is quite entertaining if you're into this stuff and have a lot of time to spend. Right about now is when I need that deck-mounted minigun. Or at least a flamethrower. That boat is made of wood.
Take no prisoners!
Why the hell? Ah, damnation!
You think you're hard or something?
From Ukrainian developer GSC Game World comes the sequel to Stalker. Stalker, with a title I'll probably mispronounce, Call of Pripyat.
Welcome aboard our swamp icebreaker.
In a fictional future after a second Chernobyl disaster, strange things happen in the zone.
Hey, Stalker. How are you?
Stalkers wander the zone searching for artifacts, loot, and some good old-fashioned firefights. This is a massive first-person shooter role-playing style adventure game. It's called Stalker, and you'll be doing lots of stalking. They could have called it Wandering Aimlessly in the Rain, but then it wouldn't have sounded as cool as Stalker. Hey, somebody left a helicopter out here. You're sent into the zone to investigate 5 crashed military helicopters. Now, I typically play console shooters, so I was immediately reminded of Fallout 3, naturally. Desolate, desaturated wasteland full of horrible monsters trying to kill you. That guy was a zombie, and there's a bunch of dirtbags with machine guns running around as well. I've also seen people compare Borderlands to this game. It's the kind of game, as you can probably tell, where you play through the storyline and you can also accept numerous side missions and go off on these other quests to earn money, buy weapons, upgrades, armor, that kind of stuff. It's not a short pick up and play kind of game. Now you can save frequently so you can play for an hour here or there, but prepare to spend some time in Stalker. It's a good thing I had my game saved. Yeah, it's not a very colorful game, and it's one that pushed my gaming laptop to the limit. It's a large environment, and you get some nice panoramic landscapes. And if they were going for a desolate, dystopian, radioactive future wasteland, they succeed. Games like Fallout 3 throw you into the action a bit earlier and faster and more frequently. Stalker is for those of you with some patience and some time. While I'm comparing it to Fallout 3, that's one that I know that many of you viewers are familiar with. This one's a bit weirder. There's more anomalies, and the artifacts that you're collecting are downright strange. So think of Fallout 3 if it was more drawn out with more paranormal activity.
Nice jump. Feel free to drop by sometime.
As Stalker Call of Pripyat is a lengthy game, one of the writers on the ClassicGameRoom.com website, who's more familiar with PC games, is spending more time with Stalker and writing a longer review, so check the website for that. This is on PC, and if you haven't found enough desolate, radioactive wasteland-style shooters out there to keep you occupied, check it out. It's not for everyone, but it does have enemies called snorks. There's just something refreshing being attacked by snorks. I always thought they were just cute cartoon characters with catchy names like All-Star. Not so much. Apparently they're horrible radioactive monsters. For those of you that don't know what Snorks, the cartoon show, is, they're like the Smurfs if somebody tied a brick to their foot and then threw them in a lake. But somehow less annoying. So that's the game Stalker, Call of the Snorks. Even though the title sounds small, iRacing is a large game. It's a massively multiplayer online racing simulator. If you're looking for more challenge in your driving video games than just collecting cars and earning experience points, iRacing delivers. But it does so with a price. This is not a console-based arcade racing game. It's an online racing simulator where you drive against other people who take racing seriously. Even though this is a driving video game, it's not in the same genre as excellent games like Gran Turismo 5 Dirt 3 or Outrun. While I've been playing this game for quite some time, it's taken a while to put the full iRacing 2.0, as they call it now, the full review together. Because unlike the other racing games I mentioned, you don't race on your own schedule. In iRacing, you race on iRacing's schedule, so it's a bit difficult if you have a busy schedule. You can practice and take your vehicles out for a test drive and run time trials pretty much whenever you want to. And you can watch replays. The main feature is races against other people, like this one. Let's watch how I do. Not well. The emphasis is on realism. When you crash your car, you have to wait to get it repaired. You can't install miniguns on anything, come on. But the trade-off is that the game looks beautiful and packs the kind of driving experience you simply won't find on a console racer. I've previously reviewed a number of the cars and tracks individually. When you purchase iRacing, you buy a subscription. Which comes with some tracks and cars, but in order to compete in certain races, you have to have certain tracks and certain cars that you buy separately. And never have I played a game where the cars feel so different. It's like night and day when you go from a Mazda MX-5 to one of these things. And everything in between, including stock cars, there's a Corvette, Mustang. They're adding new cars and tracks all the time. When you buy a new car, you can customize the paint job, put some flames on there, always nice, and then take it for a spin. In order to compete in certain races, you'll need to reach a certain level, and in order to do that, you'll have to devote some time and do some laps and hopefully win a few races. There's a couple novice entry-level races, which are quite fun, and you can also spectate, which means that you can drive as a ghost in other races, so that nobody sees you, no one knows you're there, but you're still haunting them. In order to play iRacing, you will need a good computer with a high-end graphics card, a great internet connection, and a wheel and pedals. I'll also recommend a playseat to give you the full experience. If you're going to pay for iRacing anyway and all of the add-ons, you can probably afford a playseat and a wheel too. This is the kind of game that's the one game that you spend most of your time with. If you want to bounce around to other driving games, drive a whole bunch of different wild vehicles on numerous tracks that come with the game, this is not the one for you. This is a serious driver's game, and it's really impressive, but nearly impossible to get into if you don't have time. And as you've probably noticed in this review, they have a nice variety of cars and courses, so it should appeal to everyone from a die-hard NASCAR fan to Formula 1, to those just looking to compete with a Mazda MX-5, which is probably the easiest car to drive in the game. Courses range from small American oval tracks up to the big ones like Silverstone and Suzuka. You can check out iRacing at iRacing.com. Don't let the title fool you, it's not for your iPod. It's a PC game, and a really good one. I haven't won very many races yet, primarily because of the time thing. It's not the game to really play if you play a lot of different games. But if you want to get into a massive driving experience against some awesome competition, then you want to play iRacing. How about some more music, followed by crashes and screaming? It's iRacing, available at iRacing.com. Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything.
All right, Enforcer, do what you were programmed for.
Welcome to Classic Game Room, where it's time to show alien invaders who's boss with a flamethrower in XCOM Enforcer, released in 2001 for the PC. Why am I holding a Game Boy? Because I can. Alright, it's time to waste some aliens. Normally when I think of the XCOM series, I think of strategy games that are plot-driven and detail-oriented. XCOM Enforcer could not be any more different if it tried. This is just straight action. It's like EDF meets Robotron with a flamethrower. And what's not to love about that, except it may not be exactly what fans of the XCOM series were hoping for in 2001. I think this is the last XCOM game that was made before the series was rebooted in 2012 with XCOM Enemy Unknown. Now, for some reason, the game was giving me difficulties on my Windows 8 PC, so I went with an older one and then had issues with direct feed recording. So I'm filming off the screen. It looks better in person, and it sounds pretty good too. But I think you can certainly get a sense for what you're supposed to do here. You run around as an enforcer and blow up aliens while collecting upgrade points that you then apply to your enforcer and make him more powerful. With bigger, better weapons, more armor, and more speed. It's actually a really fun game. If you enjoy Earth Defense Force, I think you'll like this one. It's got a nice sense of humor, and it's just non-stop action. There's a wide variety of ridiculous weaponry in the game and hidden stuff everywhere, so explore each level thoroughly. After a while, although it seems like you're pretty powerful, at some point the aliens simply start to overwhelm you and get in your way, preventing you from completing objectives like saving humans or destroying their regeneration things. Did I mention it has a flamethrower? Because it does. Visually, XCOM Enforcer is not terribly exciting by today's standards. The environments are all pretty boring and generic, but I can't stress how much fun it is. And the dialogue is entertaining too. The overly cheesy, bad movie acting is perfect for this kind of game, which plays a lot like XCOM meets Smash TV. It's also really cheap to pick up these days. You can get it off Steam for next to nothing. Did I mention Smash TV? When do I win a toaster or a new VCR? I wouldn't go into this one looking for anything near the quality of XCOM Enemy Unknown or some of the other XCOM games. But I would go into it looking to blow things up and enjoy some mindless action. Don't forget to collect all of the bonus letters and open up a bonus round so you can upgrade and get your crazy-ass weapons, which you're going to want. Needless to say, I've really enjoyed XCOM Enforcer, even though it doesn't have the depth that I've come to expect and enjoy from the XCOM series. It's a really fun game. And I've liked every XCOM game that I've played, to be honest. They're all good. So I've got a huge classic game room shout out and thank you to send to Samuel from Manchester, England, for sending this to Classic Game Room via Steam. Hey Samuel, is it raining in Manchester? Ah, one of my favorite Vice City lines ever. I like my aliens, well done. It's XCOM, Enforcer, highly recommended.
3 more transporters.
You know who's flying that plane, don't you? The unsinkable Baron von Classic Game Room. That's who. There's nothing quiet on the Western Front when I'm around. Putting these World War I era airplanes through their paces here in Rise of Flight. If names like Eddie Rickenbacker, Baron von Richthofen, Quentin Roosevelt, and the Lafayette Escadrille mean anything to you, you probably already own this game. Or at least you should. If the only thing you know about biplanes is Snoopy versus the Red Baron, and if you like flight games, the more common ones that would be reviewed on this show, like Hawks and Blazing Angels, Afterburner. This is one you may want to look at. However, it is not an easy game just to jump in and play. It will require some time. Rise of Flight, the First Great Air War, is available on PC. This is more of a realistic flight simulator and less of an arcade-style flight shooting everything that moves kind of game, but they do give you about 30 different options and boxes that you can check to make flying as easy as possible. I have every single one of them checked, because when I turned them off, the plane was being batted around in the air by wind, and I frankly have no idea how to fly. So I basically littered the French landscape with my airplane. Take that, observation balloon. That's for observing. I'm flying with a PC flight stick and using the mouse to look around while I'm in the first-person mode. That way I can see the observation balloon falling to its doom after I've shot it. Yeah, I think I just hit everything except what I was aiming at. Rise of Flight is one of those games that is made with a lot of love. There's a lot of passion in this game. You know, some video games are made just to obviously get a couple bucks, cashing in on a franchise, giving people exactly what they want. Not this one. This one is made by people who love World War I airplanes. It's not a dumbed-down game. And you don't need to know how to fly to play it, but you do need to know how to play a flight simulator to turn off all of the easy buttons and actually play with some real wind and physics. You can admire the airplanes and learn about them. There's a lot of information in this game. You can fly in World War I missions. And there is multiplayer so that you can play with friends all around the world. For those of us who are more familiar with games like Afterburner 2 or Blazing Angels, just straight up arcade-style flight games, Rise of Flight is accessible because when you turn on all of the easy buttons so that your plane is not being batted around in the wind like a balloon, it's fairly easy to fly in the first-person perspective. There's a couple different camera angles so you can sit back and just admire the incredible visuals and detail that they've put into this game. Like many PC games, this game gives you a lot of gameplay. This game gives you a lot in general, but it's not as well laid out as a big-budget mainstream PlayStation 3 or 360 title. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go again. Buckle up. This game could have used some more cinematic explosions. I want to see a huge fireball and mushroom cloud when I hit the ground. That airplane is packed with courage. It's explosive. Yeah. Rise of Flight is a good-looking game. By the way, my call sign is Mothra. If you want to experience this game for all that it's worth, you have to spend some time with it. But as you can see on screen, it is extremely rewarding. The sense of scale, the sense of environment, that you're actually there, is amazing. Taking out observation balloons like TIE fighters, and a celebratory barrel roll. I have indicators turned on as well. You can turn everything off if you'd like to see no indicators. You can go as hardcore as you want in this game, and just turn off everything. You have to start your airplane, take off, finish a mission, and land. Don't run out of gas, don't run out of ammo, don't crash. And don't fly like me, but do take the time to look around and admire the landscape. Just check out the detail that they put into the interiors and the gauges. I forgot to mention there are numerous airplanes that you can fly. I don't know my World War I airplanes very well. I know the Newport 17 and 28 are in here. And I think one of the earlier shots of the menus had a listing of a couple of the airplanes in the game. No F-16s though. They haven't been invented yet. Don't try to shoot people in the trenches. They've got it bad enough down there. Actually, there's no people running around in the trenches. That's one of the first things I look for. I guess they have to draw the line somewhere. The game is detailed enough. And occasionally, if you're having a dogfight right over the combat area and there's explosions going off and flak in the air, there's a bit of slowdown and jerkiness. But not that much. On the whole, this game is extremely smooth. I think you want some good hardware to enjoy Rise of Flight. Hey, did you see that? I almost crashed on the ground again. I haven't even taken off yet. Oh, you can put the game on autopilot if you'd like it to actually take off without crashing, if you suck at flying, like I do. The autopilot's pretty handy as well, just to get into the game and learn how to play it, because you can watch where your plane's going to go and just get a sense for how to actually play the missions. I'm like a vulture right now, searching for something to shoot. There's a train down there. Let's go for it. Now that's German engineering. The plane has crashed, but the machine gun still works. That's the review. This is a serious game that can be enjoyed by enthusiasts, as well as the average gamer. They give you enough controls and options to tailor the game to your style of gameplay. It's a beautiful game. It's very cool to see this kind of game and to see a World War I action game. I've been screaming for years for more World War I games. This is not an arcade title. It is not easy to pick up and play. It's challenging. It can be frustrating. The menu interface is kludgy, and the instruction manual is pretty much worthless. But if you have some time to spend with the game, you'll find an extremely rewarding experience in Rise of Flight. I have to drop the unsinkable from my title. I wonder if the gun still works. Welcome to Classic Game Room. Have you ever dreamed about being a pretty girl in tight pants who fights zombies? Well, if so, then you're gonna love this game. It's Resident Evil Revelations. Resident Evil Revelations. Now stop looking at Jill's butt. You're busted. We all know you're doing it. You can almost hear her say, "Why does Capcom keep putting me in the tightest clothes possible? It's as if they know their audience. Now it's time to shoot some creepy things." Resident Evil Revelations is pretty much more of the same, what you would expect from the Resident Evil series, except I think it has more of an old school style dating back to the earlier games, with the over-the-shoulder camera perspective that we've all come to know and love by now. Should I press the obviously bad button by the creepy fountain filled with fish? Like, what did you think was gonna happen? Oh, I've been teleported away magically with rainbows.
Finally quieted down a little.
But wait, there's more. You also get to play as other characters, lots of characters in fact, as you confront Veltro, an evil terrorist organization with a name that sounds like a pizza joint near me. Do they deliver? Well, they're kind of stupid, actually. I guess they're trying to unleash biological weapons or monsters on the world, and it backfires on them, and then you have to mop up the mess, and it's, you know, it's Resident Evil.
This is what I found from the security feeds.
That's a freighter, ain't it? Is this Veltro or what?
Veltro. Oh, look, there's monsters. This was originally released on the Nintendo 3DS in 2012. This is the PC version. I'm playing it with the Xbox 360 controller for Windows. And I like it better than the 3DS version because it's simply easier to control. It plays more like a real game. For lack of a better way to describe that, the 3DS version was cool because Resident Evil Revelations made good use of the 3D effect on the 3DS. So credit where credit is due, it was a cool 3D game. But this one plays more like your basic Resident Evil action game since Resident Evil 4. Is it a horror game? Because I found myself laughing most of the time. Even though I'm on a creepy boat, I'm not afraid of zombies, I just need something to shoot, so bring on the zombies and monsters and whatever the hell these things are. As you can see, Resident Evil Revelations looks good, and the surround sound is excellent. In fact, the sound design is very good. The audio engineers deserve some credit for this one because the creepy sound effects do help. It's atmospheric, even if the game isn't all that scary. I mean, how can it be? Look how good you look in those pants. Like nothing should terrify you because she's probably starving to death. I just want to fight these zombies, get off the boat and go home and eat a double whopper with cheese. Please, please, I'm so hungry. In addition to fighting some weird-ass monsters, you're going to spend a lot of time searching these environments for items and weapon upgrades. It's like BioShock, but not at all, kind of, sort of. Item found! Oh, please let it be a candy bar. Shotgun shells. Well, I don't need these. I mean, I kind of do, but I'd prefer a candy bar. Now, one of the main reasons to play through the campaign, in addition to the Resident Evil storyline, is to unlock new characters and environments for the raid mode, where you play through the levels as pretty much whoever or whatever you choose, and get a rating, level up, and it's pretty fun, actually. You can also play cooperatively with some friends, if you have any that aren't monsters. Now, during the campaign, you may have noticed I was scanning things a lot. That's how you find items. And you can also pick up some health that way. And health is kind of important in this game, especially when those things start eating your face. Blech. Good creature design in this one, though. I like it. If you can't have a chainsaw on your arm, you may as well have a table saw. I can't think of any reason to not play this game if you're a fan of this series. You get a bit of a plot twist in there, and in the end I felt like it was Resident Evil meets BioShock meets Tomb Raider. You can find this for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and this is the PC version. It's Resident Evil Revelations. Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room, where I've got a great PC game here that I played the hell out of as a kid. This is Stunt Driver. All the fun of real stunt racing without the bruises. Or the death. That's always a bummer, too. Let's see if we can do it. Slow down a little bit, make sure we get a nice water landing, and feed the fish, because we're doing this for the environment. And sharks need to eat. Oh yeah, it's like taking a road trip to your local Hot Wheels playset. It's Stunt Driver from 1990 on the PC, running on MS-DOS, or well, I guess Windows XP in this case. Stunt Driver. Sorry about the lack of audio. I couldn't get anything other than the speaker sound, which is like so you know, music is better. While the majority of the games covered on this show are old console games, I spent countless hours playing PC games on my dad's old computer. Games like Space Quest, King's Quest, Police Quest, and Test Drive 2 Vet, and Stunt Driver, one of my favorites. This game always reminded me a lot of Hard Drivin' from Atari, except it was on my computer at home. Oh no, I'm going too fast! Everybody make a crashing and burning sound. There we go. Now, in addition to some decent driving controls in a pseudo-open world environment, we also have the VCR instant replay with multiple camera angles. This was just amazing at the time. It's still fun. And if that's not enough innovation for you, Stunt Driver also features the track editor, so you could spend hours upon hours building insane tracks. Tracks that you could drive on, crash, and then watch the explosions on VCR. Hey there, I'm wearing headphones. One of my favorite features in this game from back in the day was knocking over the box. But after that, come on, gravity. There we go. It's the course editor. Many, many years since I've done this. The oil is only good if you could light it on fire. Otherwise, that's just a waste of a good tile. Which tile is the Sarlacc pit? I guess it doesn't have one. Damn. Alright, we'll put that there. Another one of these tiles with the people to run over. We'll put a turn with trees, just to make sure you definitely hurt yourself when you crash there. Another crowd here to watch those people get crushed, followed by what appears to be a gas station or something. And a sharp turn directly into this thing, like a meat grinder, I don't know what that is. We'll put a cell phone antenna there so all of the people in the crowd can make phone calls with great reception on their giant battery-powered mobile phones from 1990. And maybe we'll put a river here. A river's nice. That way, I don't know, maybe there's a chance somebody could drown in it. Look at that. We have a complete map that nobody will ever be able to actually drive through, namely me. Let's put some cameras out there now, so we can watch all of the carnage, chaos, and mayhem, and fires and destruction. Look at these, make sure those people getting run over are filmed. You want to make sure you connect all of your rivers, that way when your body falls into the river on one end, it washes all the way down here and lands in the stands. Good family fun for everyone. There we go, very nice. And then we will make sure this water goes up here to the next city in SimCity, where the sewage treatment plant actually pumps in radioactive material. So everybody watching this race is going to be glowing in the dark, too. This is pretty much how I think. After years of playing stuff like this. Oh yeah, there we go. And then we will feed that water with the bodies and radioactive material to the next city on the map. This is not SimCity, nor is it compatible with SimCity, but it's fun to think like it is. After spending time building a track, the next thing you do is race on the track, making sound effects along the way. Okay, let's keep going. Wave to the fans. Nice to see you guys. Hello, how are you? Oh, there's people on the track. Well, it's your fault for standing there. Crunch. This guy's name is Frank. Or at least it was. And flatten that person. Okay, let's move around here. And if you run over people, you'll notice that the car slows down a little bit because there's chunks of the people stuck in your tires and your wheel wells. There's some other cars that you can even race against, a couple difficulty settings, and even primitive multiplayer, but I wasn't able to get a lot of these things working. It took nearly a year to find a computer that would even run this. A computer old enough to work, but new enough to not be totally broken. Alright, here we have a bridge jump that I added. We're supposed to go slow. This is a fun game to revisit, a great blast from my past. I really spent hours playing this, making tracks and then just crashing. And I want to give a big shout out, Classic Game Room, thank you to Joseph from Ontario, California. Here I am crashing into these stands, giving these people a show with my spinning car. Good job. All right. So if you can find this game out there, and if you think it looks fun, it is. I recommend picking up a copy of Stunt Driver. Cautiously, yet still quick. Alright, come out of that in one piece. Round the corner, and into this thing which I put in backwards. into the ocean. Feeding the sharks.